Literature and Science. By Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold, English poet and cultural critic, was born on December 24, 1882 in Lillehammer, England. Was sent to Winchester College but returned to Rugby School. Matriculated at Balliol College, Oxford. Wrote verse for Family magazine and won school prizes. His poem Cromwell won the 1843 Newdigate Prize. Elected as the Professor of Poetry at Oxford in 1857. He is characterized as a sage writer. Served as an inspector OD schools for 35 years. Died on April 15, 1888 of heart failure. Literature and Science. Speech delivered in the Rede Lecture at Cambridge. Indicates the need of literature. Gives a reply to the charges of Huxley's who tried to impose only natural sciences in education. Summary. Arnold starts the essay by stating a wise saying, "No wisdom, nor counsel, nor understanding, against the eternal." According to the dictum of Lord Beaconsfield, Arnold observes that before 10 years the physical science had grown well. The arts and literature is observed to be gloomy. Arnold tried to plead with the friends of physical science with that of letters or literature. Sir Josiah Mason founds a college at Birmingham to exclude mere literary instruction and education. Professor Huxley is brought down to give out the excluding oration. Mr. Bright exhorted young people to give importance to the natural sciences and not for the letters. He insisted them to read Darwin, Lyell, and Bell and Huxley rather than Homer. Renan insisted that if he had concentrated on natural science rather than literature he might have forestalled Darwin in his discoveries. Bishop Thirlwall too observed that the perfect knowledge cannot be obtained from literature, and he questions what Goethe has contributed even though he is a wise man. Mr. Herbert Spencer observed that the sound, extensive, and practical and scientific knowledge is a progressive design and it makes a great progress. The Congress in Sheffield promoted natural science in the universities and even in the elementary teachers. Arnold says that in this situation the Vice-Chancellor has invited him to deliver a speech in the university. He praises the University of Cambridge and the Oxford University. As he is a member of Oxford University, he states that the university will not go back but will keep within the range of what is called modern history. Royalism, Wesleyanism, Tractarianism, and ritualism all had their source or center in Oxford. He considers the University of Cambridge as a university of great men and Oxford as a university of great movements. The great men are stimulated to examine the stuff of the great movements. He questions whether the ousting of letters from education will prevail till the end. A man of letters is incompetent to discuss the comparative merits of letters and natural science as means of education. But he will have plenty of observers and critics to save mankind from the danger of incompetence. He states Professor Huxley quoting his words at the opening of Sir Josiah Mason's college. He asserts that literature contains the materials which suffice for making humans and the world. Huxley asserts that either nations or individuals will not advance if they draws nothing from physical science. The criticism of life may stand high compared to the weapons. Huxley and Renan criticizes the Bell's letters can be understood by a superficial humanism which is opposite to science or true knowledge. By having the knowledge of Greek and Roman antiquity which is considered as humanism is more than superficial humanism and is decorative. Teaching scientific is originally laid out with its original sources, and Wolff states that genuine humanism is scientific. Thus the learning makes us to understand ourselves and the world, and the best can be known from the modern nations. Literature means everything written in letters or printed in a book, and thus Euclid's Elements and Newton's Principia are literatures. Huxley argues that knowing everything written by the modern nation is knowing their belles lettres or fine writing and is not a criticism of modern life. Arnold is not considering only the fine writings of a nation. In order to know a modern nation along with the poems, letters, histories, and speeches, one must know the contribution of great men. He indicates about the classical education and says that it is to know the best which the modern nations have thought and said. By knowing the language one cannot identify it but with superficial humanism. All knowledge is interesting to a wise man, and the knowledge of nature is interesting to all men. Science indicates the changes in a chemical reaction which a poet can make the reader to realize the conversation of the elements in the reaction. If importance is given only to the natural science, then they are losing the human nature. The power of human life is the power of conduct, intellect, knowledge, beauty, social life, and manners. All knowledge is interesting, such as learning a language, physiology, etc., but we combine all the knowledge gathered and bring them under general rules. Then we will try to relate them with the acquired knowledge. As love is described as a desire by Diotima to Socrates, the desire is related to the knowledge of sense of conduct and beauty. A man passes his life in instrument knowledge is a specialist. The natural science does not possess this, as the experienced men use the natural knowledge to the other. The physical science provide the knowledge which is not put into relation with the sense of mankind. A naturalist has the zeal of observing nature and lives happily collecting natural knowledge and reasoning upon it. He considers Darwin and Faraday as masters of natural knowledge. Then he states about the medieval education where the universities provided knowledge through scriptures and church. This engaged men's heart to relate to the desire of conduct. The humane letters have the undeniable power of engaging the emotions. Humane letters will be studied more rationally, but they will not lose their place. He concludes the speech by stating the importance of letters and with a hope that the Englishman too will go for letters. For more videos, like, share, subscribe. Thank you.